Friends, welcome to Biology Made Easy. We have discussed the secondary growth in case of dicot stems, both in the stellar and extrastellar region. But once the girth of the plant body, that is stem, increases, then the secondary growth in case of root becomes essential. Otherwise, how a huge tree can give its load on roots, which is only primary. That is why after the secondary growth takes place in the stem, the secondary growth in case of dicot or root is a necessity. But secondary growth never takes place in case of monocot roots because they are only herbaceous plants. But how this secondary growth takes place in case of roots is again very interesting because there is no cambium and the vascular ones are radial. So how it is taking place, let us discuss. Usually in case of root, this is the outline of the root and this is the inner part, that means the endodermis and pericycle is there. This is the endodermis, and below this endodermis there is a layer of pericycle. So this is pericycle, and in case of roots, the pericycle is usually single layered and parenchymatous. And how the vascular bundles are present? In case of root, the vascular bundles are radial. That means the xylem and phloem are present in alternate. They are present in alternate radii, and cambium is absent. These are the characteristics of the root. Now, this is the metaxylem, and these are the protoxylems. This is again metaxylem, this is protoxylem. This is metaxylem, this is protoxylem. This is again metaxylem and protoxylem. Because in case of dicot roots, usually the pith is obliterated or absent, and the xylem is exarch. Xylem is exarch or centripetal. That means the protoxylem are present toward the outer side and metaxylem present toward the inner side. The phloem that is present in between. This is a patch of phloem, this is a patch of phloem, then this is one patch, this is one patch. And here the xylem, phloem all are primary. The xylem is primary xylem, phloem is primary phloem, everything is primary. And the tissue which is present in between the xylem and phloem, this is known as conjunctive tissue. Conjunctive tissue which is parenchymatous. So this is the this part is this is the cortex, because there is no hypodermis. So this is the primary structure of the root, and there is no cambium. But when a secondary growth will take place, how it occurs, let us see. Now, in the conjunctive tissue which is parenchymatous, the growth will start here. That means the parenchymatous tissue, or you can tell the conjunctive tissue, which is located inner to the phloem, that will give rise to an arc of cambium. This here one arc of cambium is formed, here one arc of cambium is formed, then here one arc, here one arc. Since we have drawn 4 vascular bundles, that means 4 arcs of cambia are formed just inner to the phloem. This is the first step. That means the first step, conjunctive tissue inner to phloem gives rise to arc of cambium, and again this arises by the process of dedifferentiation, because from the parenchymatous tissue, meristematic tissue is arising. This is first step. in the second step, what will happen? Now, outer to this protoxylem, the pericycle is there, and the pericycle is again parenchyma singlet. Now, the pericycle, which is parenchymatous, that will become active and meristematic, just opposite to the protoxylem. So, this is protoxylem, and this is the pericycle. It is also parenchymatous. So, here one arc of cambium is formed, here one arc is formed, and here one arc is formed, here one arc is formed. So, in the second, then the pericycle outer to protoxylem becomes meristematic. It becomes meristematic. Now, after this, what is happening? Now, since we have drawn 4 vascular bundles, there are 4 arcs of cambia in the conjunctive tissue inner to the phloem, and 4 arcs of cambia outer to, in the pericycle outer to the protoxylem. Now, these patches of cambia, or you can tell the arcs of cambia, present inner to the phloem and outer to the protoxylem, they will extend and they will join together. So now they will extend and join together like this. So now you see, now a wavy band of cambium is formed. So in the next step, a wavy band of cambium is formed. Now the wavy band of cambium is formed in such way that inner to this cambium, xylem is there, and outer to it, phloem is there, just as in case of the stems, but it is wavy. Now, once this wavy band of cambium is formed, now secondary growth will start. But when secondary growth will start, since it is wavy, first what will happen? The arcs of cambia which are present below the phloem, here it will give rise to more secondary tissue toward the inner side and less amount of secondary phloem toward the outer side. In these portions, there will be more production of secondary xylem toward the inner side and less amount of secondary phloem toward the outer side. As a result, the total structure will be now rectangular. Now this structure will become rectangular like this, because here it will become straight like this, it will be straight like this, here it will be straight, here it will be straight, and here it will be straight, because the secondary xylem which is present, which will be formed inner to this cambium, that will push the cambium toward the outer side. So the phloem and the cambium, they will push to the outer side. As a result, now the wavy band cambium becomes rectangular. So the next point is the cambium becomes rectangular. But still the growth of the cambium will not stop. Again, this now it has become a rectangular. Still there will be more production of the secondary xylem in this just below the phloem, in all these 4 patches. That means there will be more secondary growth in these portions. Because so secondary phloem is present in these portions. The secondary phloem, they are present. The secondary phloem and the primary phloem, they are present in these portions. So when there will be still more growth in these portions, now this will become like this, it will be like this will be like this will be like this. That means initially it was wavy, then it was rectangular, now it will become circular. So in the next step, the cambium becomes circular, because the secondary xylem is produced only below the phloem and secondary phloem is produced in less quantity. So now the entire cambium ring, now it becomes meristematic. That means earlier it was like this. Earlier it was wavy, then it became rectangular, and finally it becomes circular. This is the first step, this is the second step, and this is the third step. Gradually these changes are occurring. Now once it becomes circular, then the growth of the secondary xylem and secondary phloem will take place uniformly. And in this way, the girth of the root will increase. So this is how the secondary growth takes place in case of roots. But in case of stem, there is formation of annual rings, there is formation of heart and saproot, but all these things do not occur in the root because they are underground. Since they are underground, there is a seasonal fluctuation will not affect it. So there is no formation of annual ring or heart and saproot. This is how the secondary growth takes place in the stellar region. Diagrammatically, you can remember very easily how it was initially wavy, then it becomes rectangular, and gradually it becomes circular. And once it becomes circular, now the growth will take place uniformly. Toward the inner side, it will give rise to secondary xylem, and toward the outer side, it will give rise to secondary phloem. So this is how the secondary growth takes place in the stellar region. But how the secondary growth will take place in the extrastellar region? So once the secondary growth takes place in the stellar region, again the girth of the root will increase. So there will be pressure on the outer tissues. So the growth in the extrastellar region also becomes essential. But again here there is a difference. In case of stem, the phyllogen or core cambium was arising in the outermost cortex in this portion. But in case of root, it becomes completely different. In case of root, the pericycle, which was single-layered and parenchymatous, and that gives rise to the cambium in the stellar region. Now the same pericycle will give rise to core cambium or phyllogen. This is the major difference in case of stem and root. Now the pericycle which is single-layered, it will become active and meristematic, and again this will give rise to core cambium. So now this itself will act as core cambium or phyllogen. So when it will give rise to phyllogen, naturally the cells of this core cambium will divide periclinally, and the cells will be differentiated both from the inner side and outer side. And those cells which are present to inner side, they will be living, just like that of the conjunctive tissues. But those which are present on the outer side, again they will be suberized, and there will be deposition of suberin, just like that of the stem. So here what happens, the core cambium, it will give rise to tissues toward the outer side, which will become suberized, and this is known as phellem or cork. And for the inner side, it will give rise to new tissues. For the inner side, it will give rise to new tissues, which will be the living cells, and we can call it as periderm. Once this periderm is formed, the outer to this phellem or cork, the cells of the cortex and epiblema which are present, gradually that will be slowed away. That is, gradually they are slowed away, means they get degenerated. So that the periderm becomes the outer part of the root. Now the periderm becomes outer part of the root. So this is how the secondary growth takes place in case of the stellar and extrastellar region. But here there is another important function of besides this growth in the stellar and extrastellar region, another important aspect of the pericycle is it gives rise to lateral roots. So how it gives rise to lateral roots? Now this is the protoxylem, and outer to the protoxylem the pericycle is present. So the pericycle which is present on the just opposite to the protoxylem, that will become very much active and meristematic. It will become very much active and meristematic, so that the tissues which are present outer to it, they will become extended like that. They will be extended. So this is the pericycle, and outer to this pericycle there is endodermis and periderm, so they will be also extended. So this is known as a lateral root. Lateral root. That means here the cambium, here the pericycle is giving rise to cambium, core cambium as a lateral root. And this lateral root, it always comes out just opposite to the protoxylem, not at any other place. That is very important. And since the lateral root comes out from the pericycle, which is a part of the steel, that is why the origin of lateral root is said to be endogenous, because it is coming from within the steel. So this is how the secondary growth takes place in case of dicot root. Now let us discuss questions. So one question, which is not a function of pericycle in dicot root? HS gives rise to cambium, HS gives rise to core cambium, CS it gives rise to cortex, HS gives rise to lateral roots. Second question, in absence of cambium in roots, which of the following tissue gives rise to cambium? HS conjunctive tissue, BHS phellem, CHS pericycle, DHS both A and D. So we have discussed all these things while discussing the secondary growth in case of roots. I hope you have clearly understood how the growth of the root takes place in the stellar and extracellular region, how the cambium initially became wavy, then become rectangular, then become circular. So thank you very much for watching it. God bless you. Have a good day.